Good morning, everyone. My name is Maya Luria with TMC for Seniors, and today we are talking about slow the aging process and high intensity interval training. I have Mary Mellady here with me. She is the Director of Connected Health and Wellness at Tucson Medical Center. And welcome, Mary.
Thank you. Good morning.
She is a regular with TMC for Seniors, and I'm excited because she usually does nutrition, but today we're going to talk about exercise and doing some HIIT training. So, Mary, I will let you get started. We are pre-recording this session today for everyone who is watching. So if you have a question, please feel free to leave them in the chat. And we will continue to monitor those afterwards if you're watching us on either your YouTube channel or on Facebook. So, Mary, here is your presentation.
Great. Thank you, Maya. All right. So this morning we are going to talk about how we might slow the aging process by incorporating some high-intensity interval training into our lives. So first, let's go over some basics. Go. Sorry about that. I'm going to go back one. So the gold standard for optimal health is in maintaining our weight and helping to reduce our chances for chronic disease and other diseases is to incorporate a healthy diet with some exercise. And we hear that all the time. And oftentimes, what does that mean? So when we talk about a healthy diet, this is what I always talk about, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. But what we're referring to is we want you to eat more vegetables and fruits, whether that's fresh fruits and vegetables, or that's if you only have access to canned, or if you're using frozen. We want you to choose whole grains, whole wheats, brown rice, brown pastas, those kinds of things. Choosing low-fat dairies, 1%. Or non-fat. Low fat is what we're looking for, not whole fat dairy. And lean sources of protein, whether that's coming from animal sources or from plant-based. And we would love for everybody to decrease the amount of saturated fats and sugars they have in their diet. For exercise, which we're really going to focus on today, the recommendation is for adults to have 150 minutes of moderate to intense exercise every day, if possible, but most days, every week. But we want that to happen over the course of the week. So we say 30 minutes, 30 to 60 minutes, most days of the week to get to that 150 minutes. All right. So the benefits of exercise, in case you are not aware, it helps to achieve a healthy weight. As I said in the first slide, incorporating exercising with a healthy diet helps us to achieve that healthy weight. But that healthy weight is unique to each one of us. So that is based on our height, it's based on our age, it's based on how active we are. It helps to reduce our risk for many diseases, including cancers and most chronic diseases, by being active. It improves our mood. When we exercise, we feel better about ourselves. We get our blood flowing. It just makes us feel alive. It makes us feel energized. And like I said, it probably boosts our self-confidence a little bit too. Gives us more energy. Believe it or not, the more we exercise, the more energy we get from that. A lot of people think, oh, if I'm going to go exercise, I'm going to be tired afterwards. And once you do it for a while, you'll realize there's a flip. Maybe the first few times you do it, you do feel a little bit drained. But then as you get more used to it, you get into a routine, you realize I feel better after I exercise. There's many times I come home from work and I have no energy and I don't want to do anything. And then my husband and I go for a bike ride and I feel so much better and I'm ready to take on dinner and chores and things like that. So trust the process. It will give you more energy. And it does improve your sleep. So as we age, we know sleeping becomes a little bit more difficult. Our sleep patterns change as we age. So adding exercise into our lives, we can definitely help to improve that sleep. So that right there is a great added benefit. All right. So when I said in that one slide that the recommendation is that we have 150 minutes of moderate to intense exercise each week, by doing 30 to 60 minutes most days of the week. So what does moderate to intense exercise look like? So this is 50 to 60% higher than when you're at rest. So our resting heart rates are different for all of us. And if you have a smartwatch, your smartwatch probably tells you what your heart rate is, what your average heart rate is. You can also find your heart rate by using your fingers going down from your thumb and finding your pulse. And you can count your pulses. And you're going to count that for a minute to find your heart rate. Okay. The other way to do it is to do a toxing test. If you're exercising and you want to be able to have a conversation, you won't be able to say if you need some help, or if you are having an issue, you want to be able to talk to somebody about it. You don't want to be able to carry on a full conversation and sing at the top of your lungs. That is not where you want to be. You're not working hard enough. But you also don't want to be working so hard that you can't talk. So there's that talk-sing gap there, that's where you want to be. And you also should be breaking a sweat a little bit, which is a little bit difficult to assess when we live in Tucson because you could just walk outside and start sweating. But normally, if you are indoors and you're comfortable and then you begin to exercise, you want to perspire a little bit and know that that's going to get your heart rate up. Okay. All right. So what types of exercises are included? So many times we get asked, what is the best exercise to do? And today we're going to be talking about high intensity interval training. And we will talk about what's included in that. But ultimately, the best exercise is the one that you will do. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so what's included is there's 5 components to activity into our exercise programs. There's cardiovascular, which I have a picture of stairs. So that can be climbing stairs. That can be walking. You might be a hiker. It can be biking. It could be doing activities in a pool, whether it's swimming or it's kind of just exercises in the pool. It could be anything that's going to get, that's a full body workout that's getting our heart rate increased. That's our cardiovascular exercises. Strength exercise. In this picture, the folks are using resistance bands. So strength is something that is any activities that will get your muscles to contract and then release. So that can be using an exercise band, as in this picture. It could be using weights. It can be using equipment. It could be even lifting cans or different household items, if that's all you have. It's just anything that's going to get that muscle to contract and then release in a very thoughtful movement. The next one that we have is flexibility. And the picture I chose is somebody tying their shoes, because I joke that this is my flexibility activities, just to bend over and tie my shoes. But reality, we want to be doing a lot more flexibility as we age. We lose that flexibility and our joints become a little bit tighter, and so do our muscles and tendons and ligaments. And so anything we can do to keep those nice and stretched out is going to improve our quality of life. It's going to help reduce any kind of injuries we might incur in relation to being active or just walking around. So think about stretching. Balance. As we age, balance becomes more of an issue for us. And it can even affect folks' willingness to be out and about. If they're afraid that they're going to fall or wobble or trip over something because they don't have good balance, this may impact their willingness to try new things, to go new places. So thinking about balance, incorporating balance activities daily. So one of the easiest things that we can do for balance is just practicing standing on one foot and alternating. A good activity that I like to suggest is when you're brushing your teeth. Recommendation is we brush our teeth for 2 minutes, 1 minute on the top and 1 minute on the bottom. So perhaps while you're standing at your bathroom counter, you can be brushing your teeth 1 minute and you're standing on one foot, and then you switch to your bottom teeth and you stand on your other foot. The benefit of that is it's timed. You're doing it every day, hopefully twice a day, and you have a counter there to hold on to if you lose your balance. So it's safe as well. So thinking about balance is important. And then finally, fun. As I said, what was the best kind of exercise? It's the kind that's fun, that you're going to enjoy doing. So find those things that you enjoy. Find where you enjoy being active. Is it inside? Is it outside? Is it by yourself? Is it with a group of people? Is it structured, or is it more just kind of whatever you feel like doing that day? So we need to incorporate that as part of our activity in order for us to make it sustainable. Okay. All right. So here's some, what is a HIIT workout? So what that includes is that we want you to be active 30 minutes every single day, but sometimes that's hard for us to do. We don't have that 30 minutes or that 60 minutes to fit all into one day or one time slot. So breaking that activity up into 10-minute quick workouts or exercise snacks, as I read somewhere, and I love it. I love the idea of an exercise snack, is a way that we can achieve that 30 minutes for the day. And research has shown over and over that it is just as effective to do 3 10-minute workouts as it is to do 1 30-minute workout. Utilizing the HIIT, the high intensity interval training, helps us to more quickly achieve that elevated heart rate and then bring it down. That high intensity we do for 30 seconds to about 3 minutes. And then we do that 2 to 3 minutes of moderate intensity. So we alternate what we're doing. So we take our heart rate up, we let it drop a little bit, and then we take it back up, and we let it drop a little bit. And we do that for 10 minutes. And if you do that 3 times a day, then you're getting that total of 30 minutes each day. And that's what is achieving that high intensity, but they're intervals. Okay. All right. So tips for when you're going to start this high intensity interval training and you're going to incorporate that into your day. Schedule your first workout for the morning. We know that people are more consistent with exercise when they do it first thing in the morning, because what happens? Life happens. And through the course of the day, other priorities seem to come up and we put that exercise to the back. Or me, by the end of the day, I'm tired. I don't really feel like exercising. So if my husband wasn't there to say, let's go ride, I wouldn't do anything. So we need to schedule that first thing in the morning. Alternate between that high intensity and lower intensity exercise within the same workout. Okay. You don't want to be 10 minutes high intensity the whole time. You want to take that up and down and let your heart rate get used to going up and then coming down and then going up again. Follow a specific format for a workout, at least when you're first getting started. As you get more comfortable with doing these kind of HIIT workouts, then you can kind of start to modify and do what you feel is working best for you. But when you're first started, have a plan. I'm going to do this for 30 seconds and this for a minute and this for 30 seconds. And I'm going to give you some examples when we move in a little bit. Move from one activity to the next with very little rest in between, and use a timer. So before I started this presentation, I went on really quick onto my phone and I just Googled intensity or high intensity interval timers. And I found this very handy. It's a little app. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that on the screen, but there you can see that it shows me how much time I'm going to, work out, what's my rest in between, and you can set those. There's many apps out there that are useful like this. So you can set how long you're going to work, meaning how long are you going to be active? How long are you going to get to rest in between each one of those little segments? Okay, and how many times are you going to repeat it? So you find something out there like that, or you can just use your watch and time your different segments. Gradually increase exertion during your high intensity segment over that 10 minutes. So you don't want to start off running as fast as you can and then do other activities afterwards. You want to build up. You want to let your muscles warm up. Just like any other exercise that we're doing or any other activity, we want to be gradual about it and let our muscles get used to what we're doing, prepare them for what's coming, and then bring up that intensity as we move through that 10 minutes. And as always, check with your doctor if you have any concerns about starting a new exercise program. If you have any types of injuries or any type of health conditions that you normally talk to your doctor about, please check with your doctor before starting this. They know you better than anybody. Okay, so this is one type of exercise. And so what I thought we might do is I'm going to use my handy little app that I just downloaded. Again, it was that easy. And we are going to go ahead and I'm going to walk you through each one of these 3 example of exercises, okay? Knowing that my camera is set on top of my computer, I'm not going to take you through the crunches or sit-ups, but I think everybody probably knows what that's going to look like. But each one of these exercises is set up a little bit different. And so I'm going to flip my screen here, so don't get too dizzy while I'm moving here. All right. Okay. So for this first exercise, high knee marches. All right. So I'm just going to show you each one, what it's going to look like, and then we can go through it together. So for a high knee march, a good example or a good way to make sure your knees are coming up high enough is if you have your hands kind of straight out in front of you and your knees are coming up to touch your hands. That doesn't mean your hand goes down to touch your knee, because then that's not really a high knee march. So you want your knees all the way up. All right, so this is pretty high if you can see my knees, because my camera's up pretty high. All right, so that's what a high knee march is. When I'm talking about narrow squats, and again, this is going to be a little difficult because I don't think you can quite see my legs, but you want your feet about shoulder width apart. Okay, so if your shoulders, you have your feet directly below your shoulders. You may want to have your hands out in front of you. You can have them resting on your shoulders, or you can have them on your hips, whichever is more comfortable for you. You may want to have a chair next to you if you have any balance issues. So I have a chair right here next to me. If you have any balance issues, keep a chair close by, okay, so that you can grab onto that if you ever need that. Or if you're just tired and you want to have a little something to rest on, okay? So with the narrow squats, your feet are directly below your shoulders. I'm going to have my hands on my hips, and I'm just going to squat down. Now, when you think about a squat, it's not about bending your knees. It's not about sticking let me reverse that. It's not about sticking your butt out and just bending over from your waist. It's about sitting down in a chair almost and thinking about bending those knees and squatting down. Okay? So it's not this movement. It's this movement. All right? And it would be almost like you were going to sit down in a chair right behind you and back up. For the knee push-ups, I'm going to show you maybe right here on my desk. So a knee push-up is your hands are, again, shoulder width apart. And I am doing this on my desk, so I'm sorry that this is not as visible as I would like it to be. But when you're doing a push-up, you can be down on your knees. You want to be sure that your abs are in nice and tight. Your core needs to be tight when you're doing these push-ups, because otherwise what's going to happen is when you're in a push-up position, you're going to be having your back arched, which isn't good. So you want to have your abs in tight and level. Your back needs to be level, okay? So then when you're pushing up and then dropping down, your back is straight, okay? That can either be done on your knees so that you have a little bit more support. Like I am here on my desk, you could do this off of a counter and you could come down and up off of a counter, or you could actually be up on your toes, all right? For the crunches or for the sit-ups, you can choose, is that a full sit-up? Is that just a crunch? I do want you to remember something, though. When you're doing any kind of a sit-up or a crunch, think about having your hands right behind your ears and you're cradling your head very lightly. It's not a head bent this way. Your head needs to be straight and you're lifting up from your shoulders, okay? Some people even find it helpful if their hands are crossed this way and resting on their shoulders. So they're sitting up that way, okay? Rather than having your hands on the back of your neck, which gives us the tendency to pull on our neck, okay? So let's try some high knees and squats for the 30 seconds. Okay, so now this says 2 minutes. And we're going to see how that's going to work. And now I think it's probably not going to work for me. Well, I'm sorry. That app's not going to work right this second. Didn't have that ready. But anyway, so we can do this on our watch or we can just count. So hands out, high knees. Let's just count to 30. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 15. 20. There's 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Hands on your hips. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9, 10. There's 15. There's 20. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Now think about, we're going to take it right down and we're going to do those push-ups. Okay, so I'm going to do them on my desk. You may do them down on your knees. Here we go. And there's 10. There's 15. Here we go. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. All right, and now we would get down on the ground and we would do squats for 30 seconds. Now, hopefully, this has begun to get your heart rate up. I'm breathing a little heavier. I have my heater on and it's a little warm in here. So I've started to get my heart rate up. I'm perspiring a little bit. So this workout, we're going to repeat 4 times normally. All right. So after that, you would take a couple minutes, like a 30-second rest in between, repeat 4 times. Okay. So you can see how this would be a good interval to do. And this is pretty easy one. We didn't need any equipment for this one. All right, so the next one, this one we would use a chair, which I have right here, and a resistance band. Now these are very easy to find. I'm sure we've handed these out in many classes. I'm pretty sure that you've gotten these at different fairs, but these can be found anywhere. This is just an elastic band, okay? And it's about 5 feet long. All right, so this we would use. If you don't have this, that's okay. You can use hand weights. You could use even cans of soup. Often work really well just to start out with, okay? So this one we have a mock jump rope. And if you'll notice, these activities are a little bit longer. So this is progressively a little bit more of an intense workout, right? So we would do a mock jump rope. So rather than actually jumping rope, you're just going to pretend like you're jumping rope, okay? Or you can just march and swing your arms, okay, like you would be jumping rope, whichever works for you. A bicep curl. So you're going to take your resistance band, you're going to wrap it around your hands, and then you're not going to be able to see this, but you're going to put it beneath your feet, okay? So you're going to stand on it. If you'll notice, my elbows are going to be right next to my waist, and my hands, again, gripping that resistance band, are going to be the ones that come up and down. So the resistance comes from my feet are standing on the band, and to increase your resistance, your stance can be a little bit wider because then that shortens the length of the band, or to decrease it, you can step closer. In all cases, you want your knees slightly bent. And as we talked with the push-ups, you want your abs, your core, nice and tight, okay? Because that's going to give you your stability and protect that lower back when we do any kind of activities. Your elbows are into your waist, and we're just going to come up and release, and up and release, okay? And we're going to do that for 30 seconds. The next exercise, if you've been to any one of my classes in the past, when we were in person, is a sit to stand. This is a great exercise. It works all of your larger leg muscles, but at the same time, it gets your heart rate up. So you have a chair. I have a chair right behind me. And all you're going to do is when you sit, you're going to sit, but you're not going to get totally comfortable. You're just going to sit and pop back up. You're going to sit and pop back up. Your feet are shoulder width apart. Your hands are out in front of you. You can grip them. You can have them out straight. You can do whatever you want with those hands. You're going to sit and pop back up. Sit and pop back up. And by sitting and standing, we're doing a strengthening, but we're also going to see that that's going to get our heart rate up, okay? And then we're going to do an overhead press. So this is meant to be while we're sitting. We're going to use that band again. So we just were doing a sit to stand. So you can have this band right beneath you so that you're sitting on it, or it can be looped under your chair, whatever you want to do. And again, the band is wrapped around your hands. Okay. An overhead press, all right? Your arms starting at a nice 90-degree angle. And you're going to push straight up and release. And straight up and release. And what this is working pretty much all of our shoulder muscles, okay? All of those muscles that we use within our shoulder, okay? So it's an overhead press. So that's what that looks like, okay? And then crunches or sit-ups, whichever you choose. So with this one, the workouts are 1 minute of that activity that's getting our heart rate up a little bit higher, and then 30 seconds of that strengthening exercise that's going to allow our heart rate to come down a little bit. All right. And okay, so we did that one. So the next one is workout 3. And again, you might have a chair and a resistance band. Okay. So this one kind of incorporates a little bit of the first workout that I showed you, as well as the second one. So to start the warm up, again, you would do high knee marches, hands out with the high knees coming up. But rather than just for 30 seconds, this is now at a minute, okay? So think about our heart rate when it came up nicely for just doing 30 seconds of that, and what now would happen if we had it going for a minute. The chest press, again, we have our resistance band. We want to wrap it around. You're going to bring that behind your back, okay? And it's right here. And I might need to make that a little bit shorter. All right, so a chest press is just going to be out and back, and out and back. Let me turn sideways so you can see my motion. It's straight out and straight back, and straight out and straight back, okay? So this is working those chest muscles. So we need those to be strong, because if we're ever in a position where we're either lying on our back, on our sides in bed to get up, if hopefully never, but if we ever are on the ground unexpectedly, that can help us push up, okay? Those shoulder muscles and our chest muscles. Then the squat with the leg raised to the side. So this is where you could have a chair in front of you if you needed it. And so the chair is here in front of us. Our legs in the squats that we did before, I had your feet right below your hips. I want them a little bit wider than your hips, and I want your feet out at like a 45-degree angle, okay? So then when you squat down, your knees are kind of going out this way rather than directly in front of you. Okay, so you can hold on to that chair if you want. You can have your hands out in front, or you can have them on your waist. And with the squat and leg lift, you're going to squat down, come up, lift that leg. Squat, come down, lift that leg to the side. Okay? So, thinking about that and doing that for a minute, that's not only working your large glute muscles, but it's also going to bring your heart rate up. And then the tricep press. Again, we can do this sitting in our chair, or you can do it standing. I'm going to do it in the chair. And you're going to have your resistance band. You're going to be sitting on that. You're going to have your bands wrapped around your hands. You're going to have your arms behind you. Let me turn this way. And you're going to lift straight up and straight back down. And straight up and straight back down. So notice where my elbows are. They're not here. They're not out here. This is not a tricep press. They're tight in. They're right next to my ears. And the only thing that's moving is from my elbow up. My elbow is my lever. Okay, so my upper part of my arm isn't moving at all. Okay, so that's kind of the key when we're thinking about working this back part of our arm. So before, in the other exercise, we worked the front part of our arm. So now we're working the back side. All right, so that's the tricep press. And then the tap back or lunge is the last activity in this exercise, in this workout. So all that is you can, again, have a chair next to you if you need a little bit of balance, but you're taking your leg and you're tapping back and forward and tapping behind you and forward, okay? So, or it can be a full lunge where you're lunging down and back up. So it's either a tap or it can be a lunge, okay? In either case, you're going to alternate that leg, what taps behind you or when you lunge all the way down. In any case, remember, as always, keep your abs nice and tight. We need that core to be nice and tight so that we protect that lower back. And we really are focused on engaging those lower leg muscles. Okay. So after you did that whole rotation, you would rest for 30 seconds and you would do it again. Okay. And that would be another example of another 10-minute workout. Okay. So just showing you that to all you guys, my heart rate came up a little bit. So, and I apologize that my timer didn't work out like I wanted it to. I needed a little more download time. But again, you can just use a clock. You can count like we did together, whatever works for you. You may want to have some music on to make it a little more fun. And there is also a good number of videos on YouTube that will actually take you through the workout so that you could do it with an instructor on YouTube. Okay, so whatever is more comfortable. That's part of understanding, finding the fun in your activity is understanding what works best for you, okay, and what you enjoy. If you like having music on, or if you like doing it with a group or having an instructor actually leading you, then that would be a good option for you, okay? All right, and all right, so what does the research actually say about interval training? Overall, there's no significant difference in health benefits between extending our workout sessions or breaking them up into 10-minute increments. So we already talked about that. There's just as much value to doing short, quick little exercise snacks as there is to one large, long workout. Both help to improve our lean body mass, which then in turn helps to improve our insulin sensitivity. What that means is insulin is the hormone that helps to the body to utilize glucose that is circulating in our blood. And with the improvement in our lean body mass and that insulin sensitivity, it just means we start to use that glucose more efficiently. Hence, having lower overall blood sugar numbers. Okay. Both can help improve our quality of life. We talked about how exercise can help us sleep better. It improves our mood. It helps keep us more active. It gives us that confidence to go and do those things that we still want to do. HIIT workouts specifically seem to have a greater impact on slowing the aging process by reversing some of the cellular aspects of aging. And I'm not going to get into the weeds, but it has to do with how much of that mitochondria we have in our muscles. And the mitochondria is this cell that is our powerhouse of our muscles. Okay. And it helps with that energy. So that was a very basic way of saying it helps to improve our cellular part of our aging. So if there's no difference, why should I try HIIT? Okay. Well, one small study did show that there was a greater impact on our blood pressures if we spread our activities out over the day, which kind of makes sense. You know, our blood pressure goes up and down throughout the day. So if we're intermittently doing activities that bring our heart rate up and down, that we do know helps our blood pressure by doing it over the course of the day, that probably does have it makes sense that it has a bigger impact on our blood pressure. Another study showed that HIIT workouts may be more effective at lowering our percentage of body fat. There's that concept that if we get our metabolism kind of boosted up through exercise, that helps to keep it our metabolic rate higher for a period of time after we work out. So if we work out in the morning, our metabolic rate's higher for a period of time, and then when it starts to dip down again, then we work out again and it gives it another boost. So that makes logical sense as well. And shorter workouts are easier to schedule, to stick with, to fit into our lives. So if you are still very busy and you don't think you have time to work out, just doing 10 little minutes of these exercise snacks, we can fit 10 minutes in. How often do we just sit and stare at our phone for 10 minutes? Pretty often. So let's flip that switch and start to use that spare time to do a quick little workout. All right. So that is my presentation. I'm ending with this very beautiful picture that I took on Blackets. I don't know if any of you have had the opportunity to be up on Blackets, but this was when it was super overgrown and there was this lovely vine growing up a saguaro. So thought I would share. Sort of novel. You don't often see that.
That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful, Mary. Thanks for sharing that. You provided so much information, and I think so many easy exercises that folks can do at home. And particularly, I mean, if somebody's even just watching TV, it's an easy way to at least get moving too.
Absolutely. That's a really good point, Maya. So when we talk to our employees here at TMC, we often tell them to keep this handy little band just tucked into their cushion in their couch so that during commercials, that's their commercial break is they do some sort of resistance activity. So even if you're sitting watching that awful TV, you can be doing something active.
I think it's perfect. I also love the exercise snacks because, oftentimes for me, I usually work out for almost 60 minutes, but it is definitely sometimes much more palatable for somebody to be able to just take a 10-minute break here and there. And it's also probably sort of invigorating to just sort of, to be able to get up and have some newfound energy perhaps in that 10-minute period. So
well, it probably gives us a mental break too. So if you're in something where you're like focused on something for a really long time, just take a few minutes breaks to get away. It may even improve your cognitive, thought processes and focus to take a little break and get some activity.
Wonderful. Yeah. Yes, I agree. So let's, I think that's the end of this presentation. If anyone has any questions, as I said, this is a pre-recorded session. Please feel free to leave them in the comment sections on either your YouTube or your Facebook, and we'll monitor those as well and try to answer those afterwards. But Mary, thank you so much for being here this morning. It was great. I hope that everyone gets out there, they get some new exercises. I know that there are quite a few apps out there that folks can use as well to get some of those HIIT exercises, especially if you're looking for some different ones. So those are wonderful as well, but also just everything you provided was just really easy for somebody to do, and you've given some great alternatives. So
yeah,
thanks again for being here.
Thank you for having me.